this is maybe my favorite piece in the book, and it's a fantasy, just in case anybody was wondering. But it's also lighthearted, and I just had fun writing it. And this happened after the last Fiesta de Hemingway, right? 1999 was the centennial, the last one. Anyway, and I have written several columns, urging the village and the foundation and whoever else is needed to get together and resurrect Fiesta de Hemingway. And I know there's a lot working against it, but that would be a great thing to have the third week of July every year in this town, if we could swing it. But anyway, so the centennial was their best and last, I guess. Fiesta de Hemingway, was that when they had these guys making a big triangle of, dressed in Spanish white outfits, from... anyway.
All three of the sons were...
Yes, yeah, I was
yeah. On the front porch.
Yeah, I was here for that. And they did this really corny running with the bulls, but
Right.
they were trying to have fun, and so that's good.
Real girls.
So anyway,
Garbage
Garbage cans.
cans.
so anyway, I wrote this, and I titled it, of course, "The Old Man and the Sangria." It was late. Good Hemingway start.
Yes.
Scoville Park had never looked worse. Prostrate bodies everywhere. The centennial Fiesta de Hemingway had turned into Siesta de Hemingway. Everyone had too much sangria. Including me, come to think of it. In fact, things were looking pretty fuzzy by the time the old man sat down on the bench next to me. He looked tired, beat. He looked like he had just lost a Hemingway look-alike contest. "Hey, old man," I said in my friendliest manner. "What's wrong? You look like hell." "I just lost the Hemingway look-alike contest," he said. Hard to believe, I told him. He was a dead ringer, so to speak. Turns out he lost on the desert island tiebreaker question. Which modernist author would you most like to be stranded on a desert island with? I answered Gertrude Stein. They laughed so hard I lost my temper. I used a word with more than 2 syllables and they disqualified me. Life just isn't fair. Clearly the old man was more than a look-alike. He was impersonating Hemingway's very soul. I decided to play along. "What would the great DiMaggio say?" I heard him mutter, sadly, to no one in particular. "A nation turns its lonely eyes to you," I replied. "Sorry, that song came out after you died." He looked at me with so much conviction, I felt I'd better change the subject. "What do you think of the old town? It's been a while since you were here." "All so different," he said, shaking his shaggy comb over. "When did they put up that war memorial?" "I believe it was 1925. It's called Peace Triumphant. You had already moved on. Your name is on it, though." "I don't get it," he said. "The lawns seem so much narrower and the mines so much... the lawns seem so much narrower and the mines much too broad. Since when is a prophet honored in his own land?" "This isn't your father's All-America city," I offered helpfully. He scratched his beard and muttered, "Somewhere along the line, the century passed me by." "Don't despair," I said cheerfully. "They made a lot of progress in chronic depression. A little physical therapy, a little Prozac, and you'd be back at your typewriter pounding away in no time. Of course, you might want to invest in a laptop. Very useful. You could even take it on safari." "No good," he said. "Computers tempt writers to say more than they need to. They get carried away." I've been meaning to ask, I interjected, why such short, clipped sentences? The main thing wrong with the world, he replied, then and now, is phoniness. Too many write too much and don't say enough. I went after what's real. I wouldn't put a word down until it spoke to me first. Isn't that what art and artists are supposed to be about? The search for what's real? You mean authenticity? Too many syllables. Did you find what was real? A lot of people claim I turned into a phony, a victim of my own image making, but not my writing. There's no fat in it. Have you found anything real back here in Oak Park? They tell me the town showed grace under pressure in the decades after I died. Wish I could have seen that. What do you think of your 100th birthday bash? They like me, he said, shaking his craggy head. They really like me. As he limped off into the night, I felt for him. I called out, "But the sun also rises." Then I heard him from a distance. Isn't it pretty to think so?